Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Nick coming at you with an updated F.A. Metalfoes combo tutorial this time. I've been wanting to do a combo tutorial for quite a while now. I've had a few requests from some people who wanted to see the deck in action, and I just haven't been able to get around to it, unfortunately. I just uploaded a updated profile yesterday on my channel, actually. If you haven't watched it, feel free to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. I've been testing with this deck for a while now, and I personally feel like it's the strongest it's ever been since I've built the deck. I'm playing some really cool tech choices, and I'm also running some brand new support out of Lightning Overdrive. So the deck's pretty fun, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I've been testing it both online as well as at my locals, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who said that, they didn't expect the deck to pop off the way it does. And it's one thing to do a deck profile on a deck, especially a lesser known one, and talk about the individual cards, but it's another thing entirely to actually see the deck in practice. That way you can literally see the type of ceiling that it has and the type of end boards that I can make going first. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get a little bit more of a shuffle here. We're literally just gonna rip 5 cards off the top, and I'll even cut the deck, that way you guys don't think I'm trying to cheat. So let's go ahead and draw our 5 cards and simulate a going first opening hand. So we got a copy of Rare Metalfoes Bismugear, a copy of F.A. Hang-On Mock, a copy of F.A. Off-Road Grand Prix, copy of F.A. Dark Dragster, and a copy of Magician Souls. So this is our 5-card opening hand, straight off the top of our deck. Let's dive in and see what we can make with this. So I think looking at this, we do have full combo. So yeah, let's go ahead and start off by... let's start off by activating our F.A. Off-Road Grand Prix in our field zone. And then we'll go ahead and scale our Metalfoes Bismugear in our pen zone. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of Bismugear in the pen zone to pop our F.A. Off-Road Grand Prix. That way we can go ahead and set a Metalfoes spell or trap directly from our deck to our field. And the card we're going to set is a copy of Metalfoes Combination. And the reason why we're doing that one specifically is because we have Magician Souls in our hand. So there's an interesting combo we can pull off here, which you guys will see momentarily. Also, because F.A. Off-Road Grand Prix was destroyed by a card effect, we'll get to resolve its graveyard effect and add an F.A. card from deck to hand, except a copy of itself. In this case, we'll go ahead and grab a copy of UA Hyperstadium, and that's because it's always treated as an F.A. card, despite it not having F.A. in its physical name. So now this is what our hand looks like. We have a Hyperstadium, a Souls, Dark Dragster, and Hang-On Mock. We're going to go ahead and activate the Hyperstadium. When it's activated, it lets us add an F.A. monster from the deck to our hand. So we're going to go ahead and search out a copy of our Auto Navigator here. To our hand, we'll go ahead and shuffle the deck. Now what we can do is, we can actually normal summon our Auto Navigator. When it's normal or special summoned, she lets us add an F.A. field spell directly from the deck to our hand. Now, this particular search does matter if you want a full combo. We have to either search a copy of City Grand Prix, or we have to search out another copy of Off-Road Grand Prix. There it is. So it's either got to be City or Off-Road, and the reason for that is because these are the only 2 field spells that give your F.A. monsters 2 levels during the main phase. And you'll understand why that matters in a moment. So in this case, we'll grab the City Grand Prix to our hand off the Auto Navigator effect. Go ahead and shuffle a bit. I'll even cut, because we're about to use Magician Souls draw effect momentarily. So this is what our hand looks like now. We have a City Grand Prix, a Souls, a Dark Dragster, and a Hang-On Mock. What we can actually do here is we can use the secondary effect of Hyperstadium by revealing a field spell in our hand and paying 1,000 life points. We can actually normal summon an F.A. monster in addition to our normal summon set this turn, even if Hyperstadium leaves the field. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I do have a Hang-On Mock in my hand, so depending on what I draw into off of Souls, I may want to normal summon this later in the turn, just as an additional disruption for when my opponent has to go. Because if this gets to level 7 or higher, it does banish everything that would be sent to their graveyard. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and activate the effect of Magician Souls in our hand by special summoning itself to the board by dumping a level 6 or higher spellcaster from our deck to our grave. And if you watch the deck profile, our target for that is actually Chronograph Sorcerer. Really good card, by the way, especially in this deck. It's actually not even a brick if you draw it, because the monster effect actually synergizes quite well with what the Metalfoes like to do, and that's blow stuff up. So anyway, so we go ahead and special summon our souls. Now what we can actually do is use Magician Souls' effect. We can send the Hyper Stadium on field to the graveyard, as well as our set Metalfoes combination to the graveyard to go ahead and draw 2 cards. We drew into a Metalfoes counter, and we drew into a Metalfoes fusion. Holy crap. Now, because Metalfoes combination was sent from the field to the grave, we get to actually activate its graveyard effect, and that allows us to add a Metalfoes monster from the deck to our hand. So in this case, we can go ahead and grab any Metalfoes that has a scale of 1, because we have Bismugear out and she's at 8 scale. So let's go ahead and search out a Silvered in this case to our hand. And that's the thing about this deck, it just goes super duper plus, like for no reason. And a lot of people who aren't prepared really wouldn't expect this deck to be as consistent and strong as it is. I mean, I'm like, look at this. I have copy of Fusion, counter, a field spell, still have a Dark Drax, which is an extender. I have a Hang on Mock, which I can still normal summon later this turn if I choose to, and I have basically a full scale now. So we're basically off to the races here. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and link summon by using Autonav and Souls as material, since they both already serve their purpose. And we're going to go ahead and link summon a copy of our Crystron Halqifibrax here. Activate Crystron Halqifibrax's effect. Go ahead and special summon from our deck a copy of Best Boy Despot 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link summon using the Hulk and the Despot as material into our Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Now I'm sure there's a few of you that are familiar with this combo. It's pretty popular and very, very consistent. A lot of decks do end up using it. What's going to happen now is Auroradon triggers, and it's going to special summon 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens to the board, which will inherently trigger our Despot 1 in our graveyard to revive itself when 2 or more machines are special summoned at the same time. And now, this is where things get kind of interesting. What we're going to do is we're going to Synchro summon using one of the tokens, who's level 3, and the Despot, who's a level 1, into a level 4 Synchro monster, and that's going to be our Crystron Quandax over here. Something to note is Crystron Quandax is a tuner monster, which is kind of cool. Now what we can do is go use our Auroradon secondary effect, tributing the 2 remaining tokens on board, to go ahead and special summon a Mecha Phantom Beast monster directly from our deck. And if you know the combo, you should already know what I'm going into now. And that is a copy of our Mecha Phantom Beast Coltwing. Now when Coltwing is special summoned, this is a mandatory effect by the way, you get to special summon 2 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. However, you can only do this if you control another Mecha Phantom Beast monster, which luckily for us we do. So it's going to special summon 2 more tokens, which triggers the Despot 1 a second time, because Despot 1 is not once per turn. So he'll revive himself again from the graveyard, since 2 or more machines are special summoned at the same time. And now we're pretty much sitting on a Quandax, a Despot, 2 tokens, and a Coltwing, who is actually level 10 right now, because Coltwing gains levels of the combined amount of levels of all Mecha Phantom Beast tokens on field. Coltwing's inherently a level 4, and we have 2 tokens that are level 3, so 4, 3, and 3 makes 10. So we'll go ahead and just put a dice on him over here. Yeah, so he's a level 10 right now. Now what we do here is we take our Quandax and one of the tokens to go ahead and Synchro summon into a Synchro 7. And usually what we're going to go into is a copy of our F.A. Dawn Dragster. Dawn Dragster is really, really busted in this deck, let me tell you. Note that one of the tokens is gone, so our Mecha Phantom Beast Coltwing actually drops down to level 7 now, because there's only 1 token on the board for him to gain levels from. So what we can do here is we can take our Despot 1 and our Coltwing, who's level 7. We can actually Synchro summon for a level 8 Synchro using these two monsters as material. What we usually want to go into here is going to be a Borreload Savage Dragon. Activate the effect of Savage Dragon, special summoning our Halqifibrax, well actually not special summoning, excuse me, equipping our Halqifibrax from our graveyard to our Borreload Savage, giving him 2 negations, or 2 counters, and increasing his attack as well in the process. So now we have basically 2 negates on board, and we're not even done yet, we're just getting started. I mean, I still have a 6-card hand, and I can still normal summon this turn in addition to my normal summon set. So, what we can do now, let me think real quick. There's a couple routes we can actually take here. We could, if we wanted to, activate Metalfoes Fusion from our hand and fuse using our silver that's in our hand and the token on the field, which is treated as a normal monster. We can actually fusion summon our full Metalfoes Alcahest, which is interesting because that actually becomes it's like a snatch steal. During the opponent's turn as a quick effect, I can target a monster they control and equip it to the Alcahest, which is kind of funny. That type of disruption isn't really seen too much anymore, and it's just kind of cool being able to steal an opponent's card. So we can actually make an Alcahest if we wanted to, or we can activate our City Grand Prix in our field zone, which will give our Dawn Dragster here 2 levels during the main phase. Now it's up to us if we want to actually use our Dawn Dragster's effect to gain the 3rd level to make him a 10. That depends on if you want to make a level 9 Synchro or... Well, actually, no. Pretty much what we're going to do is... So you can choose to gain the level on Dawn Dragster, but what's going to happen is we're going to use our secondary effect of Auto Navigator in our graveyard. We're going to target the Dawn Dragster and special summon the Auto Nav by reducing his level to his original, and then Auto Nav's level becomes the amount reduced. So if he's a level 9, Auto Nav comes out at level 2. But if we make him a level 10, then Auto Nav comes out at level 3. So because of all the level modulation, it does matter how you sequence your cards and when you choose to gain levels or not. Because it can really change the board state and what you can and can't go into. So, like I said, before we even... Let's kind of backtrack a bit. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. Keep in mind, right now, we're at a point in our combo where we can actually go Metalfoes Fusion to make an Alcahest, using the silver in our hand and the token on board as material. However, keep in mind, earlier this turn, we used UA Hyperstadium's secondary effect. So that effect gives us a double summon, pretty much, for an FA monster. So what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to normal summon our FA Hang-On Mock, using the effect of Hyper Stadium, even though it's no longer on board. It's a crazy card, actually. So we're going to normal summon that. Now what we're going to do is activate our City Grand Prix in the field zone. That's going to go ahead and give our Dawn Dragster here 2 levels. And that's going to give our Hang-On Mock over here 2 levels as well during the main phase. We're not going to be using Dawn Dragster's effect to gain a level when an FA spell or trap's activated, because I want to keep him at level 9. But we will be using Hang-On Mock's effect to make him gain a level. That way he's level 7, and his Macro Cosmos effect is online for the opponent. So now what we can do here is we can actually activate our graveyard effect of Auto Navigator. Since we control an FA monster on field whose level is higher than its original, we're going to target our Dawn Dragster here. Special summon the Auto Nav from the graveyard. Dawn Dragster's level gets reduced to its original, and then Auto Nav's level becomes the amount reduced. She doesn't gain the levels that were reduced, her level becomes the number that was reduced. So that's something important to note, because there's sometimes people that misplay that, actually. So Auto Navigator is a level 2 tuner right now. So what we can do here... There's a couple ways we can, like I said, there's so many routes you can go in this deck. We do have a level 2 tuner now, and Hang-On Mock's a level 7. So we can actually use the Auto Nav and the Hang-On Mock to Synchro into a 9, which our targets for that would be a Motorhome Transport or a Shen, but that's kind of pointless since the Hang-On Mock is already a Macrocosmos for the opponent only. So in my opinion, it's better to just leave that on board as is. What we can do here though is actually synchro summon using the auto nav and the remaining token. So auto nav's a level 2 and the token's a level 3. So we can actually synchro summon here into a level 5 monster, and the target we play for that is brand new out of Lightning Overdrive. It's a copy of Garden Rose Flora. So we'll go ahead and synchro summon that. Now Garden Rose Flora has a very interesting effect. She can actually destroy a field spell to special summon a rose token to the board who's level 2, dark plant, attack 800, defense 800, in attack position. However, when I use that effect, we're locked into synchro summoning for the remainder of the turn. Or, no, I'm sorry, we can't special summon from the extra deck, except synchro monsters. So we're not completely locked into synchro summoning only, because we can still special like a Dark Dragster from our hand, or, you know, but we just can't like Fusion or anything like that, or Link anymore. But we can still synchro. So what we're going to do is use that effect. We're going to pop our City Grand Prix. We'll go ahead and special summon the level 2 token here in attack mode. Now, this is where things get kind of wonky. So, Dawn Dragster was a 7, and Hang on Mock was a 7, because City Grand Prix was on board. Now that City Grand Prix is not on the board anymore, Dawn Dragster loses 2 levels, so he actually becomes a level 5 temporarily, and then Hang on Mock will lose 2 levels, so he actually becomes a level 5 as well, temporarily. Because City Grand Prix was destroyed, we're actually going to go ahead and use its grave effect to search for an FA card from the deck to our hand. Now there's a few things we can search with this. We can search a test run, to give us a non-target pop during the opponent's turn, or we can actually search another field spell, like Off-Road Grand Prix. That way we can modulate our levels of our FAs, and we can make our Hang on Mock become level 7 again. That way the Macro Cosmos effect is back online. So there's no right or wrong answer here. It really honestly just depends on what you're feeling. So in this case, I think I'm just going to grab a field spell. Which is Off-Road Grand Prix. We will go ahead and activate the Off-Road Grand Prix. Also something to note real quick before I even go into that. Because we used a spell effect in the graveyard, since our City Grand Prix, activated, that's treated as an FA effect activation. So both Dawn Dragster and Hang on Mock gain 1 level. So Dawn Dragster becomes a level 6, and Hang on Mock becomes a level 6 as well. Now what we can do here is go ahead and activate our Off-Road Grand Prix. That's going to give our FA monsters 2 levels during the main phase, so that's both players' main phases. So Dawn Dragster jumps from level 6 to a level 8, actually. We'll grab another dice here. But because we activated an FA spell, Dawn Dragster can gain another level, so we can go ahead and use that effect, so he'll become level 9. Which is pretty cool. And then our Hang on Mock will also gain 2 levels off the field spell activation. So he was level 6, so now he's level 8. And then we'll use his individual effect as well, since an FA spell was activated, to gain 1 level. So he'll become level 9. If I can find the 5 on the dice, there we go. Cool. So, and then keep in mind we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in hand. What we're going to do is go ahead and set a copy of Metalfoes counter, and we can pretty much pass our turn here. So let me just explain this board to you guys. We have a Spell Trap negate, we have an Omni negate, we have a one-sided Macro Cosmos, so any card sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. Also, Hang on Mock is level 9 right now, so he's unaffected by the activated effects from an opponent's monster whose original level or rank is lower than his level. So he's pretty much unaffected by activated effects of monsters whose level or rank's lower than 9, pretty much. So he's really annoying to deal with. And keep in mind they also gain 300 attack times their level. So having them both at level 9 means they're both at 2700 attack. So they're pretty beefy. And then the Garden Rose Flora, she can quick synchro during the opponent's turn. Keep in mind she's a level 5 tuner. And we do have a level 2 token. which means at minimum, during the opponent's turn, we can synchro into a Black Rose Dragon to just nuke the board, depending on what happened. Or we can actually synchro into a Cyber's Quantum Dragon, which in my opinion is pretty hilarious because we do control a Link monster on the field, so Quantum Dragon gains its full effects. And it's pretty funny because while I control a Link monster, Quantum Dragon states that monsters the opponent controls can't target other monsters I control for attacks, except this. And then your opponent cannot target monsters I control with card effects except this as well. So it grants like my board targeting immunity, and it lightning rods himself, so that the opponent can only attack this, which is kind of funny. And then the secondary effect, the secondary effect is if this card battles at the start of the damage step, he can bounce any card he battles back to the hand, and that's non-target, non-destruction. So like it's just so wonky, like the plays that I can make. So I can easily make Synchro 7 on the opponent's turn using the Flora and the token. But also, too, depending on the board state, like if they clear the field spell, then Dawn Dragster and Hang on Mock lose levels, obviously. Which means that I could potentially Synchro summon other things depending on what their levels are. So I can maybe go into like a level 8 Synchro. I can go into like a level, like a Cypher Mode Omega would be my 8 target. I can make a level 9 Synchro, which would be Motorhome or Shen, or I can even make a level 10 Synchro, which is the new Ruddy Rose Dragon from Lightning Overdrive. And if I use this, it banishes both players' graveyards on summon, and then because I use the plant Synchro's material, it also nukes the board. So, like, I have a few options, actually, to go into. And mind you, this was off, like, a standard opening hand, and look at the board that I'm able to end on. The opponent's pretty much got to play through 2 hard negations, a Macrocosmos, and then whatever I decide to sync into on their turn. Which is kind of funny. And not only that, I also have a set Metalfoes counter. So if they destroy any card on my field by battle or by card effect, I get to activate this and special summon a Metalfoes monster directly from my deck, which depending on the game state can be a Vanisher, which if it's special summoned by a Metalfoes card, can target a monster your opponent controls or that they have in their grave and banish it. Or I can also float into a copy of Bismugear, and then if they clear it, then it gives me a search on the end phase. So, like I said, this deck's extremely versatile. I just wanted to showcase you guys a simple opening hand, just so you guys can get an idea of the kind of board I can make. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like this is pretty strong. Like, there's gonna be a bunch of decks that struggle to deal with this. I mean, just think about how many decks need their graveyard as a resource. So, the Hang on Mock alone is already screwing them all up because any card sent to their grave is banished. And like he's 2700 attack, and he's just like immune to activated effects. And then they have the Savage to play through the Dawn Dragster, and then whatever I sync into with this. And then like I said, if I use Flora's effect and sync into a Quantum Dragon, now they can't target this with card effects, and like they can't battle into anything but this. So like it totally screws them all up. I mean, realistically, the only thing that could really out this board would be like a Dark Ruler. Or like a Kaiju maybe, but most people are side decking those cards. So like, if this was a game 1, your opponent would most likely scoop, because I find it very hard to believe that they would be able to play through this. Again, maybe I'm just being a little cocky, but like for all intents and purposes, this board is really strong, and it's going to take a lot for your opponent to actually break through this field, especially when you have a macro online, plus 2 Omni Negates. So that's it for the tutorial, guys. I'll maybe post another tutorial tomorrow, showcasing maybe a different combo or a different route, or maybe like a going second play, for example. But like, comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and just let me know what you guys think. It's F.A. Metalfoes is just a lot of fun, man. And like I said, I still have 3 cards in my hand, by the way, with all this. So like, even if they crack my board, I still have follow-ups for next turn. Plus, I have all of my graveyard set up that I need already. Like, I have the auto-nav engrave again, and we're basically off to the races, come next turn. So, plus I have Metalfoes Fusion too. Like, man, like, with the Pendulum Scale, mind you, so I can still activate this and have full scales. So, like I said, this deck's just insane. Again, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Have a good night.